Greetings, Dr. Jeffrey Scott here. This is my Market MRI Pro update for Monday, June 23rd, 2025. What a day. What a series of days. We had the U.S. bombing Iran, taking out their nuclear sites deep in mountains with our bunker busting bombs. Who would have thought the U.S. bombing Iran? I remember the last time we went into Iran military during the hostage crisis. That one didn't turn out so well. What else happened today? Iran retaliated anemically. I guess they had to show they could do something. The markets, which traded lower in the pre-markets and came back close to the break-even, finished up. And then after hours, we had ceasefire comments coming out of Trump. Futures are up 200 points. And to make things even better, we had Fed speakers talking about July. What a crazy, crazy day. And these are why being in the market doesn't always work out the way you expect it, does it? So, small caps lead the markets higher. Iran and Israel ceasefire up next. Again, my name is Jeffrey Scott, marketmripro@gmail.com. And Google Group is Top Down Trader. Thanks for being here. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you're new, hit the subscribe, hit the alarm. And even better, join my Top Down Trader. And comments are always welcome, even if they're negative. If they're constructive, make me better. So it works for me. This is for educational purposes only. Anything I recommend is in the spirit of education, not investment advice. The intent of the video is to demonstrate my tools for top-down analysis, how I apply them. Trading involves risk, and you alone are solely responsible for any investment decisions you make. I may own or intend to buy or sell any stock I mention. Trading stocks and options should be considered risky. You should always consult with your financial advisors before making trades. And oh, by the way, I am not a financial advisor. I am an oncologist, a cancer doctor. And I have tools in multiple platforms and consider myself to be an independent trader. All right. This is a crazy great day. Join my Google group. It's called Top Down Trader. You just go to Google, search for Google Groups, give your login, and tell me how you want to be contacted, and you'll be a part of the team. And we'll look forward to having you with us. It's free. I don't always post my videos on YouTube. You'll get invited to education that I don't do in a broader audience. You'll also get discounts on my tools. So not only is it free, you get value. Know your news and earnings. Tuesday, we've got Schiller Home Price Indexes. We got Cleveland Fed President, Consumer Confidence. And then Powell testifying to the House Financial. So decent news. And don't forget what's coming Friday, the PCE complex. If we look at earnings, the big one after hours was KB Homes. It's down a little bit, a couple percent. Tuesday, we got some new ones. FedEx will be a big one. And then as the week goes on, we start, I guess we're getting close to the next round of earnings, but we got Micron Wednesday afternoon. So it's a judgment call to hold stocks over its earnings. It's bad judgment to not know when your stock's earnings date is scheduled. Our index that we put together at the live meeting a couple weeks back, with the market, it pulled back, but it never broke. And it's still holding above the 17, and it's holding above the 8-day exponential. To me, it just looks like it's pausing to refresh, and maybe it's going to go higher from here. So on to the chart. So we're going to use Market MRI Pro. This is a tool that Praveen built for me, and Praveen's my partner with this, and it really allows one to very quickly do a top-down review of the market. It also allows some bottoms-up, and for those of you that are fans of seasonality, all I could tell you is, do you have a surprise coming? Especially if you already own the product, and you'll find it added very soon. So, daily briefing, Russell up 1.22%. Closing at the top of its range. Look at the other ETFs. Spider's up 0.99, Diamond's 0.93, Q's 0.91, and Bitcoin up flat, but all of them closing at the top of their daily range. That's a nice midday reversal because look at how much lower they were. Bitcoin was down 3.5%. Russell was down over 1%. The dollar finished down a little bit, down 0.4%. at the bottom of its daily range, and the VIX was down 1.25 after being up 4% earlier. New high, new lows. If you look at the NYSE at 12 months, new highs minus new lows, minimally positive and minimally negative on the NASDAQ. So really nothing good there. As we know, markets climb walls of worry, but they also bulls like to be built upon new highs. If we look at the S&P 500 sectors, you could see the only thing that was down was energy, as energy came down a lot today, and we'll look at the charts in a little bit. Um, Discretionary industry, communications, tech, so really a risk-on picture, finance. And you could see the one-day changes are here, ranked up here. I guess we also had negative on healthcare, which is defensive, staples and utilities and real estate. So the ones on the bottom are the ones you'd expect on the bottom when you had a rip-roaring market rally day. When we look further below, what do we see? We see that home construction was up. Now that's interesting with KB Home being weak. We'll see if that doesn't hold. Cybersecurity, uranium transport, discretionary, cybersecurity, lithium batteries, gold, telecommunications, fintech, infrastructure, aerospace, social media feels like a rip-roaring growth market, doesn't it? Wow, what a super day. Over here, sort of Praveen's secret weapon, took the S&P 1500, the NASDAQ, and the NYSE. We look at sectors, industry groups, what percent are positive. The blue or green bar is today, the gray bar is yesterday's or the last trading day. Over here, how many stocks in the index were up. And on a bullish day, you'd expect to see most of the sectors and industry groups up. They were. Both improved in each of the indexes over the prior session. S&P 1500, 77% of the stocks were up, 52 in the NASDAQ, and 66% in the NYSE. So I don't have the Russell here. Maybe we could add a fourth one. I'll talk to Praveen. But those are good numbers. Over 50% is a good number. And when you see in the 1500, 77%, that is a really, really good number. If we go into the timing model, we're already going to see some changes there. Here is the daily. We have retaken the WMA across the board. Now, the spiders turned negative on Friday. They're going to have to flip the bongo daily before the spiders would turn positive. We'll see if we don't get that tomorrow, but a nice reversal here. Here, this candle opened here, traded lower, and closed above the prior day. That's a very bullish looking candle. Didn't close above the prior session's high on the Qs, but the Qs remain in a buy. The diamond's a big move, retaking the 200. Very bullish looking, and then the Russell retook its WMA. We'll look at the 200 of the diamonds later, but this is the WMA here, and the Russell taking the WMA, and again a very bullish looking candle, a bullish engulfing pattern at that. And notice it went back to a buy. So I termed this over the weekend that we were in a pullback in an uptrend, and this looks like we're thrusting higher. We'll see if that continues. If we look at the index ETFs, we'll see what the day looked like. You could see a beautiful bar up here, up 0.99 on the S&P, well above the 200, took back on the 17. This is the highs, all-time highs. Kind of looks like we're going to go there, which is what we've been talking about. Here are the Qs. Let's bring this up to current day. And again, took out the 17, well above the 200. Looks like I got the 50 crossing over the 200. Isn't that beautiful? Today, the Qs were up 0.92, and again, all these closed near their highs. The diamonds, as I said, they retook their 200. That's big. Really took out all the damage going back the last 3 trading days, up 0.93. And then the Russell will get above the 200. It failed last time, but held at the 17. Big, strong session at 1.22, closing at the highs. You'd expect volatility to come down in the market on a day like this, and we know it did. It was down 3.35 after trading all the way and failing at the 50. And then the dollar, after rallying the last few days on the expansion of the war in the Mideast, was down 0.4%. Looking at the commodities, gold actually popped, traded higher, but closed just above the open, up 0.31. Silver, a positive session. Both of these are off their recent highs at 0.7 something. Oil with the potential for the de-escalation in the Mideast. Iran's response was looked at de-escalation, even though they threw some missiles at a U.S. base. Um, I guess they could have done more. And you could see with that potential, oh, come on, Jeffrey, don't do that. Flip this. You could see that the 10-year was down considerably, 1.21, and the 30-year was also down 0.58%. So really a good day for risk assets, a great day for growth. The buckets show us that we moved towards the right, but we are not overbought or oversold. Neutral. The market breadth tool shows you the big move that we saw on the composites. On the left is the NYSE. Beautiful reversal. Opened, traded lower, closed much higher. And then you can see similar on the NASDAQ composite. Now, I didn't look at volume, so let me just take a quick look at my other screen. As I showed you, I think, in the last video, I like to look at market surge, especially as you get deeper into the night to see where they finished on their volume. Friday was big volume because it was options expiration, and of course, with such a great day on Monday, it was the volume was low. Especially on the NYSE, the volume was extremely low. You could see how much lower it is in the prior session. You could see with a strong day, stocks above the 20 in green, 50 in white, 200 in red turned up, but not at an extreme. And then if we go down the list, you could see new highs on greater than new lows on the NYSE, but not on the NASDAQ. AD lines were positive, up-down volumes are positive, and no major new signals down here. On the market breadth, the one thing that I've been adding is looking at these various indexes on the S&P 1500, where this is the high jump, not the high jump rather, but the 13-week new high, new low. And you could see we're still in the upper part, but we're not up at the top. So none of these are giving us a signal. And then if I just stop here and I talk about the markets, I think the pullback and uptrend theme continues. I think today was an extremely bullish session. Again, driven by the anemic Iran response, and I'm sure the drop in oil didn't hurt, and also the somewhat more dovish, amazingly, Fed comments. And with the futures up, as I mentioned, about 200 points, it would not be a major shock to see the markets trade up again on Tuesday, at least at the open. Ratio charts, I think we're going to see tech looks great, XLK. Communications is holding up nicely. Financials turned up some. And then the defensive staples and utilities and real estate are bouncing on the bottom, as are materials. So as a top-down trader, I want to go into the marketplace. I want to look at a large list of stocks. I want to put them into industry groups and sectors. So you'll see that I'm going to show you in a minute my list of 3,700 or so stocks, and you're going to see that everything is assigned a sector and an industry group by our data provider. I filter my list by $1, 100,000 shares, and I end up with 3,745 stocks. If I go into the top-down look-see view, I can look at what the sectors look like with that large volume of stocks. So it's a much broader view of the market than you might get with just the S&P 500 or 1500. On the left are the sectors. You can see a big move by materials, utilities, communications, industrials when you look at the broad markets. Energy and healthcare at the bottom, no surprise. Discretionary here is not as high as you would expect, except they're all in that 1.5% range. Over here are the industry groups and what's leading. So what I might do tonight is let's just click on those top 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And here, those top 10 industry groups give us 143 stocks. Now, let's filter them a little bit. Let's filter for price over 5 and 500,000. Hit OK, and now we're looking at 70 stocks. So these are 70 stocks that are in the top 10 of the industry groups, and let's look at these by boom, 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 number of up dots. And let's just go through the several. Spartan Nash Foods, I think that's SPTN. Sometimes the first ticker takes a little longer. That's something we're working on. Yeah, I don't know if this is a takeout, but let's see the news. Plans to sell to privately held grocery distributor and parent of Piggly Wiggly's. All right, we don't play those. Tesla, nice day. Autonomous vehicles are out, and Tesla seemed to have responded well, up 8.24. Beautiful breakout here. Here's your pullback, retest of the 17, and then a breakout above. Notice big volume. You had a CPR, volume breakout momentum, and relative strength at OBV, and you're not extended. Tesla looks interesting here. I think that's Unity Software, maybe. Let's see. Oops, it's not a U, it's an LI. So this is a Chinese um, electric car. Go is another grocery related stock, I believe. Let's see, grocery outlet maybe. Too low in its pattern for me. TT is that train. Wow, beautiful stock, run up, sideways move, pull back. Not much volume, but you had a gap and a close at the top, and you had actually had a CPR. You had a little gap, not a big gap. You had breakout of momentum out of a squeeze. Not seeing it in relative strength at OBV yet. Toll Brothers talked about KB Homes being weak, but construction was one of the strong sectors and industry groups today. Yeah, it's not a bad looking chart. I wish it was above the 200. Um, Trudging along in a new uptrend. So these are one of the ways, and I have to look at Costco. And this is the stock that just retail loves this stock, and I guess probably so do the big guys. If you look at it, you could see changes in earnings are between 6 and 29, and look like they're closer to 10 or 12. Revenue changes are less than 10%. Trades at a forward multiple of 42, and that's my only issue with Costco. But as I've said before, probably doesn't matter. It likes to go higher. Now I don't know if these are all in sympathy of that Spartan Nash. E-commerce sales rose 15.7. One of the things that we built in is we have news here. It comes with the program, but if you just click on this, you will get the news report. Now, speaking of Market MRI Pro, we will be doing a free training on Wednesday. I'll put the Zoom in the YouTube and Top Down Trader notes. You're invited to attend. We're offering a couple week free trial as well. Just reach out to me at marketmripro@gmail.com. So I've started to find some stocks that might be interesting. Now, that's from a top-down perspective. From a bottoms-up, I've got a couple tricks that I like. Let's just go into the impulse side here, which is it's 3,700 stocks filtered now for price and volume, so it's 1875. Let's look for pullbacks and uptrends. Let's hit OK. Let's rank by number of dots and see if we can't find anything. There's Spartan. What's CDTX? This is a ticker I don't know. Sedera Therapeutics. Well, that's a pretty big move. Drug conjugates. Public offering. This is why study met its primary endpoints. Biotechs are tough. I mean, when the trials are positive, you get moves like this. I'd probably do a little research, not just buy it based upon the technical pattern. XPO is one we liked over the weekend, trucking logistics, shipping logistics. Let's take a look at this. A little bit of a pullback here and a break here. Look at this. You had a CPR, volume breakout momentum, relative strength OBV looks good, not extended. This might be one to take a look at. XPO Logistics. We looked at Tesla, Teladoc. I mean, telemedicine is a big deal now, but it's not like COVID when they were the first. It's kind of low in their pattern. SPGI. S&P Global Financial Services, and you could go down the list and probably not going to go too far down. Zeta was one we looked at over the weekend in one of my videos. And we're going to look at it again in a few minutes when I show you one of this also, I think, in the logistics space. Break it out here nicely, although it's below the 200. So I will often look at stocks by pullbacks and uptrends and filter by the um, number of dots. Another thing I like to do is we'll keep on the $5 and 500,000 shares. And let's look at 2 days Momo up, hit OK. And let's just go through this list very quickly and see if we find something. This is my 2 momentum days in a row. And the reason why I like this so much is typically after a big day, you see a retracement. And when you see 2 big days or 3 in a row, it makes me pay attention. So MIND, used to be Mind Technology, have no idea what they do. 2 big momentum days in a row. Earnings are 610. So earnings are out. They're not very impressive. I would do my research. It's a cheap stock. Grocery outlets we already talked about. Several of the grocery stocks look good, and this was one of them. And you can see it's got the 2 momentum dots coming out of a squeeze. Zeta was one I liked. ZETA. You can see it breaking out. Toll Brothers holding up well and probably leading the industry group higher. We'll see what happens after the KB Homes earnings, which aren't so good. Pulte, another one. And all these will have one distinct signal. And that signal is the 2 dots on the lowest of my dots, which is momentum. Installed building products, I think, IBP. Let's see what that. Sideways move breaking out. It's also in the home builders. TPH. Tri-Point Homes. You got to think something must be going on with the home stocks, although KB Homes did disappoint. Next one I think is Taylor Morrison. So a lot of home stocks are showing some of these 2 dots, which is a great signal. Southern, a utility. Now, whenever I see utility and I see the 2 dots, boy, this thing's gone sideways, moving up off the 50. It doesn't look too bad. Look at that relative strength at OBV. I see what kind of a dividend does this guy pay, and it pays a 3.27%. SNV, no idea what that stands for. Let's see. Synovus Financials, a regional bank. We talked about these over the weekend. Multiple failures at the 200 breaking out. That's kind of interesting looking. Relative strength OBV looks good. MTB is another regional bank. Breaking out over the 200. MSGE, Madison Square Garden. I wonder if these guys are the ones that own the Sphere. I went to the Sphere to see Kenny Chesney, and I wish I had one in my town. It was amazing. If you haven't been there, you got to go. What a beautiful breakout. Let's take a look at earnings. Look at this earnings change from last month, up 450%. Now, with a 32% surprise, and revenue with a big surprise. Interesting looking. Does not pay a dividend. Do your own research, but that looks interesting. CNO. But we got a bunch of different industry groups represented tonight. CNO, another of the financial services. This is one that's been bouncing on the 200 and took it out today. Remember, what's driving these stocks is these 2 dots down here. ACI, I believe that's Albertsons. Kroger's was one that looked good over the weekend. They're in a potential deal, breaking out here above the 50. NWSA, News Corporation, sideways move and breaking out. Was there news today? 5 years extension of the CEO. Has delivered most profitable years. All right, that looks interesting. L, is this Lowe's, the insurance company? Let's see. Nope, yes, Lowe's Financial Services. Insurance companies, a number of them look good this weekend. Juniper Networks, here's your technology stock. Again, the most impressive thing here is not just the number of these, but it's the broad-based. Not as exciting. FTRK, Future Track or something? Let's see. Fast Track Communications. It's an IPO. CCI, is that or is that CCL? We'll soon see. Crown Castle Inc. I think they do signs at the side of the road. I think they must pay a dividend. Let's see. 6% dividend. Whoa. $5.75 on $102. I don't know if this thing is off of its highs. Let's look at a weekly chart. Yeah, it's off its highs, but it's been off for a while. You see that 200. Let's throw out a monthly chart. Big pullback, bounced around here for 2 years. This is August of 23 on this 200 on the monthly. Um, this could be interesting here. I wouldn't let it get below that 200 very far, but are we about to move higher? I love that dividend. Just something I might be watching. And then AFL again, in not the American Football League, but in the insurance business, Aflac with the stupid commercials. Big move on Friday. As I said, a lot of the insurance companies look good and carried forward today. So markets feel like they want to go higher, and I mean, certainly if the ceasefire looks like it holds, I think you'll see a relief rally. Energy will come down, and those names that were leading us higher, the shippers in the energy space, will probably come back to earth, and I bet we see mag and technology go higher. And speaking of the mags, I looked at my stock, my portfolio today, and it was a pretty good day. It was driven basically by one stock, and the one stock that really drove my portfolio today was Meta. Meta was up 2.3%, and when you look at the chart, um, kind of looks like it's a flag and maybe break out of that flag. I think Meta looks really good here, hence why I entered something last week. And Netflix, which continues to amaze and defy gravity, but Netflix was up another 23%. And of course, Praveen, as he built out the seasonality module, which we'll be adding soon, this was one of the stocks he was all excited about for short-term seasonality, at least in June. All right, guys, it's done. Please join my top-down trader group. Please subscribe. Come see us on Wednesday. Take advantage of the free trial. Just email me at marketmripro@gmail.com and have a great night.